Welcome back, everyone. It's David. I'm going to be breaking down and overreacting to the biggest games from Week 11 of the NFL. And the last week before Turkey Day, it was the first-year quarterbacks as well as the elite tier guys that generated all of the buzz. If you like what you see, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow Lingo Sports on Instagram. Starting with number 5, and hats off to Sean Payton, because the decision to start Taysom Hill turned out to be a stroke of genius. This all could have gone horribly wrong. Despite Winston's accuracy issues, he has plenty of experience as a starting quarterback as opposed to Hill, who up until this week was a tight end in fantasy. There were also several players who wanted Winston to start after the report came out. And while he may still get a shot, for now, the starting job should be Hill's to stay. This is only Hill's third season in the league, but he's already made his mark in a big way. On the field, there isn't a single role or position he isn't willing to fill. He is also responsible for one of the best memes out there.
Wide receiver, offensive lineman, defensive lineman, fullback, running back, linebacker, corner, free safety, strong safety, head coach, assistant coach, and a plethora and a barrage of other things as well.
But still, asking him to start was a tall order considering the most pass attempts he's ever had in one season was 7. But his ability to run also makes him hard to tackle in the pocket. There was hardly a moment where he stayed still in this game. That's to say nothing of his passes, some of which were very impressive. That was actually outstanding. Unlike what we saw with Winston last week, Hill isn't afraid to take shots downfield. That was likely a big factor in Payton's decision. But of course, both of Hill's touchdowns this game came on the ground. His dual threat ability as a quarterback, to go along with his general unpredictability, is enough to keep any defense honest. All of a sudden, everyone who criticized Payton's decision has been hella quiet. The Falcons can make anyone look good, but Hill definitely proved that he belonged. The way the game is played now, he fits right in as a starting quarterback. Hopefully, in the coming weeks, we'll see Hill pull a Marcus Mariota and throw a touchdown pass to himself. Number 4. It's cynical, and it was very tragic, but Joe Burrow's season-ending injury was inevitable. One of the worst sights of the week was seeing the first overall pick go down awkwardly, then get carted off the field on what was later revealed to be a torn ACL. It continues what has been a worrying trend in the NFL this season as some of the bright young stars in the game have suffered the same injury. But in the case of the Bengals, it's honestly a surprise this didn't happen sooner. Ever since week 1, we've seen Burrow take hard hit after hard hit. Take this hit he took against the Eagles back in week 3. Malik Jackson practically caused his head to snap back. This angle looked particularly worrisome. And then, of course, there was this hit from Chase Young prior to him getting injured. As great of a play as that was, this is the reason why a season-ending injury seemed inevitable. Why is there nobody around to protect him? Why is Young given prime real estate to do whatever he wants to Burrow? And as for Young, is that really how you treat your fellow Buckeyes? I say this knowing full well that if I was lined up opposite someone like Chase Young, I'd be screaming louder than Carlton Banks. And to Young's credit, he was one of the first people to comfort Burrow after he had to get carted off. Truly a class gesture. As for what the Bengals do from here on out, they were likely going to draft in the top 5 anyway. Their offensive line needs a serious overhaul, and it starts with drafting Penei Sewell. The Colts have proven how quickly a game-changing O-line prospect can turn a team's fortunes around. Number 3. Brian Flores needs to take advice from Mike Ehrmantraut. No half measures. If the Dolphins make the playoffs this year, a lot of credit will go to Brian Flores. He may even win Coach of the Year. He made a big gamble to start Tua, even though Fitzmagic had them in a playoff spot, and so far it's paid off. His decision to then go back to Fitzpatrick in the fourth quarter after the Broncos was also a gamble, but for all the wrong reasons. Tua has been a revelation since he's come in and has helped spark a big winning streak for the Dolphins. He's beaten some impressive teams along the way, including the Rams and Cardinals. Now, did he struggle in this game? Most definitely. But anytime a defense can get 6 sacks in a game, they deserve credit too. Like, take this. There was only so much Tua could have done by himself on this play. Now, it appeared for a moment that Tua got hurt on this play and that the decision to take him out was precautionary, especially after seeing what happened to Burrow earlier. But when Flores revealed after the game that he was in fact healthy and could have gone back in, that's when everyone started to turn on him. Tua's a rookie quarterback. He's going to have his ups and downs. A game like this should have been a learning experience, and he deserved to see it through. Calling Fitzpatrick the best chance in the 2-minute drill after publicly committing to Tua makes no sense. And yet after all that, he's already named Tua the starter for next week. What sort of message does that send to the team? That you would run at the first sign of adversity, then try to pass it off as if that was the plan all along. It's possible that Flores knew Fitzpatrick would shit the bed and that benching him would light a fire under Tua. If that's the case, he's either incredibly dumb or incredibly smart. It'll depend on how he plays next week against the Jets. Number 2, not even Viagra can help Tom Brady's struggles at night. Brady signing with the Bucs caused the NFL to schedule a lot of their games in prime time. The only problem with that is Brady's a senior citizen now, and a lot of these games finish past his bedtime, which is why his worst performances of the year have come during these night games. Against the Bears, he forgot what down it was. He came this close to losing to the Giants, which, fair enough, they are his kryptonite. Then there was that stinker against the Saints where he threw 3 picks, and now this. Don't be fooled by the final score. This game had no business being this close. The Rams had plenty of chances to put the Bucs away before they eventually tied the score. But here's the most damning stat. On throws that traveled 20 yards or more, Brady was 0 for 6 with 2 interceptions. This in addition to being 0 for 19 on deep throws in the last 4 weeks. And these interceptions are absolutely atrocious. Jordan Fuller could retire tomorrow off of the fact that he picked off Tom Brady twice as a rookie. He went from having the greatest career of all time in New England to now becoming a check-down Charlie in Tampa Bay. It's all too familiar to Alex Smith as a Chief. Brady's struggles to get it up during these night games are what make the Buccaneers the biggest Jekyll and Hyde team in the NFL, which is why nobody should be surprised if they blow the doors off the Chiefs like they did against the Packers. Finally, number 1. Speaking of the Chiefs, there's a pretty simple explanation as to why Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football. He's the one. If you think about it, his career has evolved just like Neo from The Matrix. In his first season as a starter, when he threw 50 touchdown passes and won MVP, was like when Neo learned every single martial art in the world. But then he lost in the championship game because D Ford jumped off sides. A betrayal from his own teammate. Cypher, anyone? The following year, they made it back to the playoffs, but quickly fell behind 24-0 to the Texans. This was like when Agent Smith thought he had Neo down and out. But then, he got back up, and was able to see the code inside of the Matrix. Right before Mahomes led that comeback, he looked up and said, "There is no spoon." And the rest was history. Which brings us to Week 11 and his game-winning drive against the Raiders. The Raiders should have known they were cooked when they gave Mahomes the ball back with that much time on the clock. And while he was surgical on this drive, the Raiders absolutely aided their cause by completely switching off on defense. Why in the world is Travis Kelce being left this wide open? If this game proved anything, it's that no one in the history of football has been able to do what Mahomes has done in as short of a time. For him, every drive is the same, whether it's the opening drive or a game-winning one in the fourth quarter. Not enough people are talking about his numbers this season, but they're ridiculous. 29 total touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. By the end of the season, he's going to make us all look stupid for even considering anyone else as a league MVP.